was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need.
Larry, let's try this all over again. Man, thank you so much.
Looks like it's working a little better now.
Yeah. Man, I mean, nonstop going at it. I even called a cable provider. We shot signals through everything. But Larry, so much is going on right now. What is your take on what just transpired with Iran striking the U.S. command centers in West Asia?
It's Kabuki Theater. This is all staged to make it appear to be something that it is not. Mm-hmm. You know, people are believing that, oh yeah, Iran's striking back. It's retaliating, a devastating strike. That's what they're saying. No, it's not. This is Iran saving face and the United States allowing Iran to save face. But by the same token, the United States is bragging about, oh, we obliterated, we wiped out everything, all the nuclear components in Iran. They're destroyed. That's also a lie. You know what? What's going on right now is if a mouse farts in Tehran, the United States pretends that it's a sonic boom. It's like it's a nuclear explosion. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? But it was a mouse fart. So this whole thing has been, you know, Trump on the one hand he's facing enormous pressure from the Zionist crowd, both the Christian Zionists, the Jewish Zionists, the atheist Jewish Zionists. You know, there's a one I don't even get to understand, but they exist. By God, we got to stop Iran. We got to change the leadership in Iran. And so we're going to do it by creating this story that Iran's building a nuke. And if we don't stop them, by God, they're going to wipe us out. So we got to stop them. So they pull out the remove Saddam Hussein book, blow the dust off of it. Say, okay, now we're going to just tell this repeated lie that Iran's the number one sponsor of terrorism. It's killing thousands of Americans. It's getting a nuke. I mean, any day now. They're at the 5-yard line. They're ready to punch it across the goal line, so we're told. John Ratcliffe, who I doubt if he's ever played football in his life, but you know, he likes to live vicariously. So that whole thing was trumped up. Mossad had worked with CIA and MI6 for years, planning this operation that started off on June 13th with the assassination and murder of many top-level Iranian military officials and intelligence officials and nuclear scientists. And the West fully expected that would cause the regime to collapse, and Iran would be curled up in a corner in a fetal position, crying, and they'd agree to be raped and violated by us. Didn't happen. The cyber attack that the Israelis launched with U.S. assistance was supposed to knock out Iran's abilities to coordinate and respond for up to 5 days. They got it back online within 8 to 10 hours, largely because of Russian assistance. The Russians played a very important role in that. And then Iran started retaliating with missile strikes in Israel, and Israel can't stop them. Israel doesn't have enough air defense missiles, and even what they have are not effective against the hypersonic missiles that Iran has developed. So this, now Israel's getting desperate. Oh my God, we got to do something. God, let's. And so I think actually this is all part of an elaborate ruse to create an exit strategy for the United States to get out of this, and maybe even to allow Israel to get out. Because if Israel doesn't get out and stop this now, I think Iran can actually destroy them. Because you look at it tactically and strategically. So there's right now Israel has two functioning seaports, Haifa and Ashdod, and Haifa is no longer functioning. They've only got Ashdod. Ben Gurion is their only international airport. It's shut down. And then Iran has been methodically hitting power stations, power distribution centers, nuclear research centers, military headquarters, intelligence headquarters, the Dimona nuclear reactor down south, the Israeli military air bases like Nevatim. And they can continue. They've got thousands of missiles. They can continue this indefinitely. Israel, by contrast, does not have enough. Their primary air defense missile is called the Arrow 2 and the Arrow 3. They're running out of those. They only made 25 to 50 a year, it's estimated. And each one of those costs like $3 million a pop. Well, and the United States doesn't make them. Well, and when you consider that Israel has to fire at least 2, sometimes 4, 6, or 8 of those missiles against just one Iranian missile. I mean, do the math.
Yeah.
If Iran fires 100 missiles, and then these guys are having to fire 200 arrows when they're only making 25 to 50 a year, that's like you living large. You're buying yourself a Lamborghini. You're eating at the 5-star restaurant every night. You're putting it on your credit card. The problem is you can't pay the damn thing off. But it's on your credit card. That's the Israelis. They're living large, and so there's going to be a lot of diplomatic pressure brought to bear to try to get Iran to stop. I think Iran's they're going to keep hitting Israel with missiles every day. And I don't think they're going to stop until Israel is at the table and they impose a ceasefire and they allow food in for the Palestinians. The United States doesn't have the stomach for an actual war with Iran. And we went in and, like I said, Carolyn Levitt, bless her heart, at least she's much better looking than Baghdad Bob. She's still the Baghdad Bob thing. We obliterated. We destroyed it. There's nothing left. Just sand. That's all. Just sand.
But Larry, isn't this weakening Trump's base also? Because the people that stood behind, they saw him getting into more wars. They see him on not stopping the Ukraine war, like he said. And then after this stunt with bombing the reactors and then lying to the people, and they're finding out more that he didn't do what he claimed that he did. Isn't this going to weaken his support base more and put more pressure on him?
I would say this is probably alienated 10 to 15% of his base. So it's not, is that significant? Yeah, I think that's significant because he's got a razor thin margin in the House of Representatives. And his repeated nasty attacks on people like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey now, Elon Musk. I am tired of Donald Trump and his bullshit. The act has really worn thin. He can play this tough guy. You're fired. You're hired. He's the worst personnel manager in the world. Mm-hmm. He couldn't. Good God, if you put him in charge of hiring clowns for a circus, I guarantee you he would probably select half of them would be undertakers. Yeah, and not funny ones at that. So yeah, Trump's a mess. He's I've checked him off my list. I know several people who were strong Trump supporters in this last election who are now he's not to be trusted. So he's hurt himself. I think he may be smart enough to recognize that he's hurt himself and he's going to stop. First rule of crisis management: if you're in a hole, stop digging. Mm-hmm. He's in a hole. We'll see if he stops digging. So far, he's not taken the bait, and he said, "Yep, we're not going to respond anymore." So that's smart, because the United States can't afford to get into a war, a protracted war with Iran. We'd lose.
So is he in control, or is it all of those billionaires that funded him, or those billionaires in his cabinet? I mean, what is it? Is he in control, or are they in control?
Well, you tell me, what do you mean by control?
Directing the policy, and willfully ignoring the will of his base.
He's being steered into this policy. Israel is playing a major role. Its intelligence service. American Israeli Public Affairs Committee is playing an important role. They are spreading this subversive claim that Iran has or is building a nuke, and just days away, weeks away, to the point that now Trump rejects the judgment of his own intelligence community. There are 5 critical agencies that actually collect raw intelligence and then process it and produce reports. And all 5 of those agencies had been coming together for the last 20 years saying, based upon all the data we've looked at, all the evidence, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. They're not going to get one. Could they get one if they decided to build one? Yes, they could, but they're not. And, that's the critical difference. But what Trump has done is he's accepted the lie that they are actually building it. They're days away. And if we don't stop them, they're going to blow up the Middle East and attack the United States too. That's just ridiculous.
Well, what about the standing of Tulsi Gabbard after trying to walk back her public statements to the Congress, and how she said that people are misrepresenting what she said, but she's on video saying what she said?
I think she's a disgrace. I think she should resign. She has not held up her part of the bargain. She has not stood up to speak truth to power. She's just, there's an impolite word for it. The polite word is prostitute. She's taking money and providing services. Now, I'm not suggesting that she's actually providing sexual services, but she's providing political services that, is just, she's going to say what she needs to say to get paid. And, she's securing for herself a real sweet retirement package. She plays along with all these Jewish billionaires. By God, she'll get some money in the end. All she got to do is be a good girl and play along. It's sad. It's sad.
If she plays along, that means that we're going to war in the Middle East, because a lot of those.
No, I disagree.
Okay, give me your take on it.
Yeah, we risked going to war.
Yeah.
But what you've seen now over the last 3 days is that strike on the nuclear facilities in Iran was again stage managed. So I saw this happen back in 2017, 2018 in Syria. If you remember back then, I think the first one was in 2017 called the Shaitar air base. So the Brits, working with Syrian front groups, created a false flag attack claiming that Syria used chemical weapons on the Syrian rebels and the Syrian people. Oh my God, we were outraged. How dare they? Now, the reality was the Brits did it with working with these radical Islamists. It was all staged. But because of that, the pressure, Trump was under pressure. We got to respond. And by God, we responded. We attacked that base. Man, $120 million worth of missiles, blew it all up. Man, what a great victory for the United States. Except it was all bullshit. So what happened behind the scenes is there's at Al Udeid Air Force Base, there's a joint air operations center that covers the activities in Syria and Iraq and Iran and the Persian Gulf. The general in charge that night, man, when he knew that this was coming down the pike, gets on the phone to his Russian counterpart. Vladimir, hey, Vladimir, listen, this is George here. Yeah, George Johnson, yes. Hey, listen, want to let you know that we're going to be dropping some bombs over at this airfield where you guys are located. So we'd appreciate it maybe if you'd get out of the way, not be at home. So, we can drop our package off and pat ourselves on the back, but we don't want to actually hurt you or cause any damage. And tell the Syrians to get it out of the way too, because we're under pressure to make this look good, but we don't want anything to happen. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And we did it again in 2018. So, and now here we are doing it again. So I don't know if the United States called up Iran or if they called up Russia, and then Russia told the Iranians, but it was all sort of worked out. So the U.S. could fly into Iran, drop its load, celebrate, pop the champagne. Oh man, we are bad. We are bad. It's like that scene of Richard Pryor walking into prison the first time. I'm bad.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's the United States. Richard Pryor was funnier at it than we are.
Larry, so when it comes to that, what about the Qataris? Because I was reading what the Qataris said, that the Iranians informed them to remove their personnel from the base or whatever because the strikes would be incoming. Mm-hmm. To me, if you want to strike someone, you strike them, and then and whatever happens it happens. But they gave them full warning, knowing that they would pass that warning on to the United States, along the lines of what you're saying. And so go ahead, give me your take on all of this.
Yeah, we should have some music, background music to play as we talk about this. So the song "Get Ready, 'Cause Here I Come," get ready. Yeah, we're coming, baby. We're coming. Get ready. That's what happened. And, so everybody, it's just an expensive fireworks show. Too bad they didn't push it closer to the 4th of July. That way, could have added it in as part of the festivities. This is so. It's one of my military buddies said, so all Trump has to do now is do nothing. Just do nothing. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Walk away. Mm-hmm. Just leave it alone. And the United States is not then going to be involved in World War III. Now, Iran's created some of its own problems here. I mean, they stupidly turned down. Russia's offered them a defense pact. So if anybody tries to kick your ass, we'll show up to kick theirs. Mm-hmm. And Iran, no, we'll take care of it ourselves. We don't want that now. That's what they said, 3-4 months ago. I bet you they're singing a different tune now. Go back. Hey, Vladimir Putin, you remember that deal you offered us? Is it still available? Because we'd like to get signed back up to that. And I'm sure Putin would say, sure, because both China and Russia have a vested interest in keeping Iran alive. This is not about nuclear enrichment. People who keep focused on that are just kidding themselves. This is about getting a regime change so you can put in a regime that's going to be friendly to the United States. There's basically going to be the bitch of the United States. Do what we tell you to do, and a way to attack Russia and China. This is designed to disrupt BRICS.
Mm-hmm. We have two questions for you in the chat. One is from Flying Crocodile. She says, question for Larry. What do you think of Medvedev's claim that multiple countries are prepared to give Iran nukes to use in its defense? That's question number one.
Yeah. No, he's Russia's Donald Trump, man. He knows how to troll. I mean, he's a master troll. Yeah. He's I don't think he's serious, but when you listen to him, you're never quite sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's crazy, but the man's been known to sort of pop off to. He's more. If there was such a thing as an Irish Russian, he's that. He's got a bit of the Irish in him, and I know whereof I speak because I've got the significant Irish roots. And so with it comes both a sense of humor and a temper.
Ping one in the chat says, Larry, isn't Iran hitting U.S. bases very symbolic though?
Oh, absolutely. That's why they're doing it. They get to say, hey, we remember after Trump ordered the murder of Soleimani, and Iran responded back then, and they threw in some missiles at a base that blew up the sand. So they got the safe face. So yeah, but it sends a message, because the rest of the world also looks at this and goes, United States is not as strong as it thinks it is, because you can see clearly it doesn't want to tangle, doesn't want to get into a fight with Iran. So it's going along with this in order to stay out of a fight. So that's, I think that's an important message.
Well, Israel is being hit hard. They've censored the destruction and everything. And Iran this morning said that they were going to keep pounding Israel until they bring Netanyahu to his knees. Will the pressure in the U.S. by the lobby force Trump's hand to join in and escalate this to a regional war? What do you think?
Well, they're going to try. But I think now that both Russia and China are making it very, very clear that Israel started this and Iran's going to finish it with Israel. And so, it's like the bully that jumped the kid in the schoolyard, and they start fighting, and all of a sudden the kid that gets jumped starts kicking the ass of the bully. The bully's friends always, we got to stop this. And the kid's friends, nah, let it finish. I think that's what's going on here. The possibility to really damage Israel profoundly in a way that they've never been hit like this. And so far, Iran, to its credit, has avoided trying to see how many civilian casualties it could inflict. Instead, they've been hitting military bases, intelligence bases, power plants, scientific institutes connected to the nuclear power, nuclear research. They've hit Dimona. They're closing down the airport. They're closing down the port. If Iran keeps this up for another 2 to 3 weeks, Israel will be in desperate situation. Can't get in, can't get out.
So do you think the leadership now in Israel are rethinking everything and realizing that they bit off way more than they thought that they could chew with Iran?
Well, if they're sane, that's how they should be thinking. But I can't guarantee you got any sanity there. You know, they're inclined to believe their own nonsense. I mean, I just tell you, I'm on a thread with a bunch of very avid Zionists. It's part of a broader chat group. There's about 3 or 4 of these cats in this group. Man, you can't reason with them. They just say the craziest stuff. In fact, let me just give you an example, just so you see how nuts some of these people are. Where are you? There. Here's an example. Shortly after the invasion, Russia controlled 27% of Ukraine. Today, they control around 19%. And what has this all cost? By most estimates, 1 million dead or wounded, 1 million well-educated young men left. Inflation is at 10%. Loan rates are at 24%. Bank prices are up to 20%. The planting season went badly, and some food prices on key foods like potatoes and eggs are almost unaffordable. I mean, this idiot actually believes this crap about Russia, and he's writing the same garbage about Israel. So, I mean, these people are legitimately insane, but they're so much captive of this Zionist nonsense, this mythology that, oh, there was this God, and God said this land belongs to us. Well, where does it say that? It's a book we wrote. We wrote the book, and see, God says it right there. Well, okay, Mordecai wrote it in there, but it's just here. Here we are. 2,500 years later, after that book was written. I mean, think about this. And you saw Ted Cruz the other day with Tucker Carlson. Well, the Bible tells me that I got to support Israel because if I curse it, I will be cursed, and if I bless it, I'll be blessed. So I want to be blessed. So it says in the Bible. I mean, it's just, and think about this: the number of people who deny that there is a supreme deity. They deny it. Yet they say, "Oh my God, yeah, this is Jewish land." Good. So let me see if I got this straight. You reject the entire concept of God, yet the claim that gives Jews the right to this land is based upon something that this God that Jewish scribes wrote about is the one that said, you get it? Do you even understand how crazy that is? You should be in a white coat with your arms tied behind your back. I mean, it's just nuts. And yet here, it would be funny. It would be a Monty Python skit, except because people believe this crap, there are women and children and elderly people dying. There are over 50,000 Palestinians dead, maybe double or triple that. We don't really know the full numbers. All because people believe in this fairy tale. Mm-hmm. It ought to be outlawed, actually. You should not allow stories to be told that people embrace that lead to them to killing and destroying other human beings. Okay? That should be outlawed.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Larry, it's just something that sticks with me. I keep hearing the reporting of a few hundred, 400, 500 people dead in Iran from the strikes. And then I look at what is reported out of Israel, and they're saying 24 dead and hundreds wounded. And I'm thinking about all of the destruction in the buildings, and they want the people to believe that all of these buildings are always empty. It's not making sense to me. Yeah. You're getting struck on a daily basis, but every time you get struck, there's empty buildings and no one is around. And the death toll has remained at 24 for the longest.
Well, we've seen, again, on the theater side, we saw the other day that an Iranian missile hit a military intelligence facility that was located adjacent to Israeli hospital, and the blast wave shattered windows in that hospital. Didn't kill anybody, wounded a few people with shattered flying glass, that kind of thing. Oh my God. The Zionists were out crying their crocodile tears. This is, see, the evil of Iran. They attacked a hospital. Oh my God, they attacked a hospital. The humanity, the inhuman, they're monsters. And you're going, you people have blown up and destroyed 36 hospitals in Gaza over the last 22, 23 months.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about being monsters. You guys, you guys are a whole store full of pots calling a kettle black. You know? Good God. So, up to this point, Israel has been killing civilians without regard. They don't care because they don't really view them as human beings. This is just, it's like squashing insects as far as the Zionists are concerned. Iran has been much more cautious, much more focused in trying to actually hit strategic targets and not target apartment buildings and condos just to kill civilians. I would, if I was in a place to advise Iran, that's what I'd tell them to do. Make sure, go after every strategic site, base, intelligence base, military base, communications center, power center, nuclear power plant, port, airport, seaport. Go after it. Pound them mercilessly. Leave the civilians alone. Civilians are going to suffer enough. They're going to be without power. They're going to be without food. The luxury items they've liked to enjoy, those not showing up anymore, and they're trapped.
Larry, I know you have something to do, so I'm going to, in the last question, I want to ask you, how can America not join this when those powerful lobbies in Washington continues to put tremendous pressure on the entire Congress and the Trump administration?
Yeah. I wish that we should resurrect Nancy Reagan, bring her back. Just say no. Just say no. That's all it takes. Just say no. But, you really raised the important point, Rashid, that the AIPAC lobbyists, the money that's flowing to members of Congress, both on the Republican and Democrat side, is so great that people are going to succumb to the temptation that they're going to go along with trying to get the United States involved with an expanded war because they say, oh, Israel's survival is at stake. And candidly, it very well could be. I think Iran is in a position where it can inflict such serious damage on Israel that Israel's very ability to survive would be in question. And they don't have to do it by mobilizing an army. All they got to do is just continue to destroy this infrastructure because Israel's a small place. Iran's a big place. And Israel, they can bomb. They don't have the ability to bomb all the key sites in Iran. And with Russia now getting, I think, more actively involved on the Iranian side, I think actually Russia's going to be doing a lot of work to bring an end to the fighting because they got close to 1.5 million Russian citizens in Israel. Yeah, they're Jewish, but they're also Russian citizens, and I think Russia still wants to try to protect them if they can.
Well, Larry, once again, thank you, man. You didn't have to come back, but you came back, man. I really, really appreciate it, Larry.
I only do it for my friends, man. Only for my friends.
Thank you, Larry. Hey, I'll send you the video, man. Be blessed and be safe.
All right, Rashid, you take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you for joining me on this platform. Check this out. We'll have tomorrow morning, we'll have former U.S. Assistant Secretary of the Treasury on. This week, we'll have journalist Kiji Noy. We'll have Brian Berletic on. We'll have Carl Zaw on. We've got Mike Mihalovich coming on. All of this week, we're bringing you a Power Pack week. So stay tuned. Remember to like and subscribe and share always, as I say to everybody. Do right by others, not because there's some material gain or some accolades behind it. Do right by others because it's the right, humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, remember God Almighty is watching. As my mom says, he sits high, but he looks low. And know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth, but know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but remember to always stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. I'm out of here. Peace.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a